Hey guys, I'm back with another deck profile video. Today I'm going to be doing my Beast Deity Stride deck. So those waiting to see this deck, I was a little bit iffy first if I was going to actually bother changing the deck, since I did run a lot of stands. Still run a lot of stands in here. And the, what's his name? No, not Big Plaza. This guy, Medio Kaiser was actually, or Troy Burut, or whatever his name is, was actually pretty good in here, because Beast Deities are pretty good with stand triggers. So this with stand triggers is really good against your opponent's field. It essentially gives Nova Grapplers Kagero style retiring, which is really good. So yeah, but I did notice that the deck used to have issues keeping up with other faster stride focused decks. So I am glad that they got a pretty good stride unit. Actually, it's one of the better ones. I'd say it's definitely in the top 5 stride units from the Fighters Collection, Winners Fighters Collection. I was a big fan of Beast Deities. Those who don't know, so I don't really care about Nova Grappler as a clan at all. I do like their idea, I like the playstyle. I like Aqua Force more, so I main Aqua Force a lot more than Nova Grapplers. In fact, this is my only Nova Grappler deck. Beast Deities are the only Nova Grapplers that I actually cared about. Like Blau, and then I could care less about Blau. So I'm so glad that Bushiroad decided to help out Beast Deities over Blau, because I hated Blau and I always liked Beast Deities. So I'm thrilled that it always seems like the subclan that I tend to care about is the one that they always put Fighters Collection cards for some reason. So anyway, the deck, the Grade 3 lineup didn't actually change at all from the last time. So it's still 4, Strongest Beast Deity, Ethics Buster Extreme. He's still the best one. He works the best with a Limit Break Enabler, which just so happens to also be Beast Deity. So he's like the best one, so you definitely want to run 4 copies of him over the others. Next, I'm running 3 Break Ride, just like some of my other decks, like Angelica in Regalia and stuff like that. So 3 Break Ride is good enough, because it's not all that great with this guy. So that's why I only run 3. So if you open up with the Break Ride, that's fine. You have the potential to cross Break Ride later. But if you open up with him, it's really nice if you have the Limit Break Enabler, because then if you can't stride for whatever reason, you run out of Grade 3s or stride fodder, then you can just sit on this guy and pressure the opponent anyway. So the deck runs really well regardless. And then for the last Grade 3, I am running the reverse. Deadliest Beast Deity, Ethics Buster Reverse. He is actually amazing with the Break Ride. So this cross Break Ride is actually far more preferable compared to this cross Break Ride. Those who remember back when Beast Deities were a thing, back in like Chaos Breaker and Break Ride format, this had the potential to get like a total of 8 attacks on the cross Break Ride turn. 8 attacks total if you have a full field. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's still pretty good, but the stride just helps make the deck be even better. So that's the Grade 3 lineup. 9 Grade 3s, because you want to run as many Beast Deities as you can. So you don't want to run too much stride fodder in here. And yeah, I mean, this just gives you a lot of options based off of what your opponent runs. So for Grade 2s, I'm still running 4 Hatred Chaos, because he's a 12k for Beast Deity, and he's really, really good with the starter. So no reason not to run 4 of him. If you really want to run 4 of a different tech card, you can drop him down to 3, but I don't really recommend it, because, and I'll get into reasons for that. Next, 4 Brainy Papio. I feel like Brainy Papio is like the best Beast Deity tech card they have. I originally used to run 3 of him, like when I first built the deck, but then I bumped him up to 4 because I realized you can loop him. Even Kamui shows you how to do it in one of the episodes in the anime. And then next, to replace the, I forgot what it was called, the Anglet Dragon thing, 3 of Beast Deity Drago Twist. Drago Twist is from the Fighters Collection, so this is the support card that they got in the form of a Grade 2. So basically what he does the same, he has the same effect as Tribe Root, which I think is amazing, because it's a grade 2 that basically gives them the power to retire opponent's rear guards. So what he does is when he stands during your battle phase, if you have a vanguard with Beast Deity in the name, you may counterblast 1 if you do choose one of your opponent's rear guards with attack less than or equal to this unit's attack and retire it. So that basically means he'll retire any back row rear guard or even just any random 9k interceptor. So typically with him, what I like to do is I always like to blow up important tech cards in the back row, similar to what Seal Dragons always does. So this is extremely good against Dimension Police. This is like a hard counter to Laurel, going back up to 4. So yeah, this is just a really good card. 3 minimum. If you want to run 4, then you have to probably drop Papio down to 3, because Hatred Chaos with the starters was way too important. You want to always have a Hatred Chaos. Main reason why I would recommend picking between these two in terms of which one you run 4 of is because they both use Counterblast, and Counterblast is going to be really heavy in here. Because of if you're on reverse, it's going to be heavy, and also if you want to do Victoplasma, he's a Counterblast too. So you just have to keep that in mind. And Beast Deity does not have a way to unflip damage, so they can't countercharge, which is one of the main drawbacks. Which seems to be one of the limitations of a lot of Stargate decks. Until Messiah, I guess. So next we've got 4 Beast Deity Solar Falcon, because it's Beast Deity and it can block anything. It can protect rear guards. It's good against Laurel. It's good against the Cross at the end. So 4 of it. It's really good. Next, 4 Beast Deity Frogmaster. One of the best grade ones they have because it works so well with Extreme. Provided you are able to mount a proper field setup to be able to rush early enough. So this deck, those who don't realize, so the grade 2 game kind of got nerfed because Odysseus is going to go down to 2, or I guess he's already down to 2. But yeah, Extreme is just such a hard counter to... Extreme with Frogmaster is such like a slap to the face to people who try to stick themselves at grade 2. So, yeah, Limit Break is such a hard counter to that strategy. It's hilarious. So that's another reason why this is my favorite Nova Grappler deck, because I feel like this one is probably the most consistent one right now. And thanks to the Stride unit, Beast Deities are really, like, I think they're the best Nova Grappler deck right now. Next, 4 Beast Deity Max Beat, because he does what Brainy Papio does, only Brainy Papio has the hit to restand something. When he stands, you can special counterblast a Beast Deity to stand another rear guard. So it doesn't have to be in the same column as him, so it's really, really good. One thing I will notice, or mention again about this deck, is both of these guys special counterblast Beast Deities. The new guy does not, but these guys do, and I believe this guy has to discard 2 Beast Deities. So you want to run a lot of Beast Deities. It's kind of like Seal Dragons. They're very sub-clan specific. And then for the remaining grade 1, I am running 1 Stride Enabler, Extreme Battler, just to help you get more strides. That game is really good. The one thing I hate about this is when, like, I've actually had games where I damage check him as my only damage, when Brainy Papio is the Vanguard, and I have a Hadri Chaos and the starter out, and I hate that. So that's the only inconsistency that I've seen with the deck. So that's why I try to minimize as many non-beasties as possible. But this card is just way too good to not run, I guess. So for the zeros, or for the triggers, 4 Subliminal Gray Stand Trigger. Yes, I know it's not a Beast Deity. This is the only other card besides that Stride Enabler that's not a Beast Deity. So 5 cards that are not Beast Deity. So it's not hindering the deck all that much when it comes down to it. And besides this guy, he can recycle himself and draw you a card. So thanks to him, we do not have to run draw triggers. And stand triggers just work so much better in the deck because of how they work with cards like Max Beat, and Drago Twist can retire something, and yeah, it's just, and the way It can combo with Hatred and the starter behind it. So Subliminal Gray is just really, really good. And he's not GB restricted. He's from Legion format. Then 4 more stands. These are the Bright Cobra. These are the Beast Deity stands. So 8 stands and 4 Beast Deity criticals, because critical triggers are so important. I will never make a deck that does not run a minimum of 4 critical triggers. But Beast Deities, they don't really need draws because they pressure the opponent so much that they tend to, like, unless you're playing against someone like Link Joker, I guess, which is probably the hard counter to this deck, you don't have too many problems getting a lot of attacks in. But yeah, Link Joker and occasionally Mega Colony can be pretty annoying. So 4 crits and then 4 Beast Deity heals. So 8 stand, 4 critical. Now that, and stand and crit in the same turn, like on the stride turn, is really, really scary. And then 1 Beast Deity Riot Horn, because he's the best Beast Deity starter. He works really good with Hatred Chaos in front of him. So for the stride deck, I guess since he's there, I just 2 Meteor Kaiser Tri-Brute, because last time I was running him at 3 before they had Catastrophe, and he was really good. He was the main reason why I ran 8 stands, and thanks to the new grade 2, I decided just to keep my 8 stands. I was considering going to 6 critical, 6 stand, but for now I'm just going to keep it 8 stand, 6 critical, or no, 8 stand, 4 critical. So these are the main reasons why the stand triggers are really, really good. This guy, because you, like if you stride into him, you can't rely on, like checking grade 1 or higher Beast Deities, so it kind of limits him to only getting stand triggers, so that's why you run quite a few stand triggers. Next I run 2 Meteor Kaiser Victoplasma, just because he can restand. So he's just a very generic restanding stride unit. I think he's like the first one that came out that restands. Yeah, from set 1. So yeah, so some Meteor Kaisers are in here in the stride deck. And then of course 4 Catastrophe. So Catastrophe is just like Evangeline, in the sense that you don't have to flip himself up. Like, it can just be anything in the generation zone can be flipped up. So typically, depending on the matchup, he'll be the first stride. You flip one of him up, so it's there for later. That's the first stride. Then he goes over here. Then your second stride depends. Sometimes I go into Victoplasma as my second stride, but other times I will go into him again. And then in that case, you would flip up a Tri-Brute. So you would get the effect now, the secondary effect of having these 2 face up. So he'd get the thing that restands would get 3k. And then the 4th stride, again, you could go into Victoplasma, or you could go into him again and flip up another one of these. Or potentially, you don't even need to go into this guy. You can go into Tri-Brute, depending on how many stand triggers you've checked that game and how annoying your opponent's field is. So, one thing I will say about Beast Deities in the current meta, at least against Dimension Police, Dimension Police is not really that big of a problem, although even without Laurel, even though you have the ability to retire Laurel relatively easily with this guy and that grade 2, that the Kaiser deck is still really, really scary. So the Metalborg one is actually a lot more, like, this deck seems to stand on even footing against Metalborgs, I feel, compared to Kaiser. So anyway, guys, that was the deck profile for Beast Deities. It's my favorite Nova Grappler deck. I probably will not change my Nova Grappler deck anytime soon. I'm going to stick with Beast Deities. I'll probably, like, if they get some random commons, kind of like what they do with the old clans or the old sub-clans, I may, like, change stuff out from time to time. But this deck, I can see it pretty much standing through the test of time for quite a while, thanks to this guy. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the deck profile video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.